Hello fellow Utahns, I'm Jason Spar, just here to show you my experiences growing tomatoes here in northern Utah. By no means a professional gardener, so this is just stuff I've learned, and hope that I could make a video and let other people know my experiences and the success and failures I had. First off, when I first planted my tomatoes in the ground, from the pots they were green, in the ground they went yellow. I was using a tomato fertilizer that contains the nutrients tomatoes are supposed to use, but once a week I would fertilize, and I wasn't having very good results. After viewing some professional videos on YouTube, I was able to get some ideas of things to look at and how to trim and prune tomatoes, and that helped some, but still had problems with growing. So the best thing that happened that I did was when I went to Home Depot, they had a soil test kit that's $4. It's like $3 something cents. Let me show you. The soil test kit is right here, and yeah, blurry video, sorry. It's just a little over $3, and came with these little test tubes and some stuff that look like pills. You might be able to order it online. It says it's a Fairy Morse soil test kit, and what I found is that even though I was fertilizing once a week, the nitrogen content was non-existent, and let's see, which one was it? The phosphorus was topped out. The other thing that I found out, it was the alkalinity of the soil was way high. So here in northern Utah, depending on what soil you have, I have solid clay. And after doing research online, that clay type soils tend to be alkaline. And so with my problems of my alkalinity and no nitrogen, even though it's fertilizing, had to take a look at what my soil was. So at the very beginning of the year, I had prepped my soil by putting steer manure and a little bit of peat moss and tilling it in to try to break up the clay. And what I found out was happening is that material, as it's degrading, is sucking all the nitrogen out of the soil, and so I needed to supplement extra nitrogen, a lot more nitrogen than what I had been doing previously. So when I looked at how I could raise my pH level also to the range that the roots can use it, because also reading online, if the alkalinity is too high, the roots can't take in nutrients. If it's too acidic, it's the same thing. So the stuff that I ended up using that really helped was this Schultz Super 21 and 00 ammonium sulfate with coated urea. And as soon as I threw a little layer of that on there and raked it into the top layer of the soil, my tomato plants had gone berserk. We have a late start growing season this year because of the flooding and the snow and all the problems, but I think, as you can see as I stand next to this, that I'm 5'10", and this plant is a lot taller than I am, so they're growing really good. The other things that I did was I recommend is buying these really tall tomato cages. The short ones don't work as well when you start getting to where they're this tall. Because I got a plant over here, tomato plant, that isn't quite as tall, and it's gone out tremendously from using a smaller cage that allowed the top to bloom all the way out, and it's overcrowding some of the rest. And yes, I have planted them a little too close, so apparently 3 feet apart is not sufficient for growing this size of tomato plants. So these two plants in the back, they're Big Beef, and these two that I've got, smaller ones growing in the front, are DX 5212, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was grown from a variety from the University of Utah. But as you can see with my pruning, these stalks are very healthy. They're very large stalks. They're huge. And the way I learned to prune them on some other YouTube videos is you see this Y on these plants. You see two main trunks when they start splitting like that. And what you do is you prune off all of the leaves lower than that level for several reasons. One reason is, when the plants are too close to the ground, rain and sprinklers can bounce soil up onto the lower leaves, and you can get funguses and diseases and some rot from that. So you need to keep the leaves and the fruit far off of the ground as best you can. And I almost think of it as almost like pruning it like a tree. So try to thin it out every once in a while. And the other thing that I did was pinched off all the blossoms as the plant was growing. So forcing the plant to grow taller and bigger, and not letting it fruit real early in the season. It's the end of July here, and so hopefully these tomatoes will be ready for the Utah Fair. I'm going to try this year. This is the first time I've ever done this. But the other thing was pruning the tomato plant was to keep the innards thinned out enough to where sun can get to the inside of the tomatoes and help them ripen. But also what you're doing when you pinch off the blossoms earlier in the season, until you get the plant to the size that you want, pinching off the blossoms and keep pruning it at least once a week, thinning out some of the smaller branches that are not producing fruit or blooming, and almost force the plant to grow the way you would want to, almost kind of like a tree, I guess. And in doing that, it really makes the plant want to grow hard, and it really thickens the trunks up, and the stalks are very, very big, and so they'll be able to support a good water and nutrient system to your fruit. And the other thing is they're stronger, thicker stalks, so that they'll be able to support the larger fruits that you will have on the tomatoes, on the plants. The other thing was, after the tomato plant started growing, like that one there I missed, you get a group going, and you see some small ones, and you just take a couple of them small ones off. If you want larger fruit, you need to thin out how many are in each. So we come back out here. I've had to do some extra supporting, tying these plants in and staking, because as big as they are, they're bending these large tomato cages over. But to show you, this is just what I pruned off today. Even the plants have been large. So yeah, I still have some tomatoes that are in there, and I don't have a whole lot of heartache about cutting them off anymore, because these plants are growing so fast and so large and so many fruit on them that it must be working pretty well for me to have 6-foot tall tomato plants. So hope this helps out some of you guys out there, and thanks for watching.